obviously we're reacting to the Phillies game last night and trying to look more at the bigger picture with the Phillies and some of the issues that, whether you want to call them issues or not, Ray's being a little more positive than I've been, but some of the issues that have shown early, even though they're 7-3, the bullpen, the outfield, Alec Boehm's attitude, there's a lot. With a 7-3 team, Ray, there is a lot. But
so much. You know what? Actually, I think at this point we should probably ask the question, by the deadline, should they be selling off some of these pieces?
Well, look, you got to understand something, all right? Coming into this season, I predicted them to win 95 games. So I expect them to be a very good baseball team, and they are.
Are they on pace to win your 95 games?
They are. They're on pace to pass it. But I'm looking at issues that may or may not continue to be a problem, and that's what we have to talk about because the bullpen's been an issue, and the outfield still lacks a right-handed bat. They tried Sosa yesterday in left field, as I predicted. Mike, if you're listening. Bill, you were right all along. Do you have that drop? We should be hitting that all day.
You know, who unplugged this?
Yeah, Ray doesn't have access to the draft board.
Right all along.
There it is.
Bill, you were right all along.
One more time, Austin.
Bill, you were right all along.
You know what? Maybe the last hour we just play that on repeat. I wish Mike, if Mike's listening, it'd be nice for him to call in and say that live, but that was pretty good. But look, we'll continue the Phillies conversation. I want people's reaction to last night, whether they would continue the experiment in left field with Edmundo Sosa against left-handed pitching. But we're also getting ready for the NFL draft because, believe it or not, it's about 2 weeks away, and the Eagles have 8 picks in this year's draft. They picked 32nd in the first round, and they got a lot of needs that I think they need to address in this draft, or at least attempt to. And one of those needs is the safety position. And there was a free agent, veteran, former All-Pro, who talked about the Eagles yesterday. I'm going to play that audio for you in a second, but I want to go to the phones because Nash, where's Nash from, Austin?
Nash is from Westchester.
There it is. So Nash from Westchester wants to weigh in on the NFL draft. Nash, what's going on, man? You're on the Fanatic.
Hey, what's up, guys? How are you this morning?
Living the dream, man.
So, first of all, Bill, you were right yesterday. I was listening to the show yesterday. It doesn't matter where you put Edmundo Sosa. He's hitting 600. You got 3 different guys hitting 220. He needs to be in the lineup. So I think you're definitely right, Bill. So good job there, buddy. Romano definitely needs to go down, though. Every time that guy comes in, I get agita. Every single time. And to bring him in the other day against the Dodgers in the 7th when you're up by 2 runs, and we saw what happened. I mean, you knew the moment he came in the game that was going to happen. Did either of you feel otherwise?
No, it's been a shaky start, man. Look, they took a flyer on him. He wasn't healthy last year, but you go back 2 years ago, and he was pretty good coming out of the pen for Toronto. It's just last year with the injury, you thought maybe he could bounce back, and I'm not ready to rule him out yet, but it is a major, major concern. But you got anything on the draft, too?
I'm not ready to rule him out. Yeah, actually, Bill, I agree with you on the draft. I think best player available on defense. So if the best player available is receiver, quarterback, whatever, I agree. You don't take that player. But I also don't think you specifically draft for need. I think whoever's the top defensive guy on the board, that's who you take. And I really don't think it matters what the position is.
Yeah, I can get behind that. Now, what if it's a tight end? Knowing that they're probably going to move on from Dallas Goedert, would you consider using that 32nd pick on a tight end if there's a guy there you like?
So I'll be real honest. I'm not too familiar with any of the top-end tight ends. This is what I would say. If there's a guy that's a tight end that's supposed to go in the top 10 or 15 and he drops to you, okay. But if it's a tight end that's supposed to be at number 32 versus a tight end that maybe you can get in the second or third round, I'd rather take a stud defensive player. That's just my opinion.
I can get behind that. And you want an Eagles draft question for a shot at winning these tickets to the Truist Championship in May?
I would, but actually if I could make a comment about golf before that. I heard you guys talking about Masters. I know Mikey Misses down there talking about who's going to win and who would be good to bet on. And
yeah, who you got?
I completely disagree with. Take Ludwig Oberg. He is not even listed in the top 10 in terms of odds. The kid is a stud. He was a rookie last year. I would for sure take him as a top 5 finisher. And I think you're going to get good odds on that. You can go bet Morikawa or any of these other guys, but you're not going to win anything.
So Ludwig is a plus 1,800 to win the Masters. Plus 1,800. I like it.
I think that's good. I think that's good odds.
All right, we've had no callers get a question right yet. So I'm going to have to give you a
no pressure.
Yeah, I got to give you a really easy one here to get this right, hopefully. So 2 years ago in the NFL draft, the Philadelphia Eagles had 2 first-round picks. Both players were out of Georgia. Name one of them.
Yes. Jalen Carter.
Yes, finally. All right, Nash, hang on so we can get your information right now.
How about Nolan Smith? We'll go 2 for 2.
There it is.
Yeah, seriously.
He gets both. I had to make it easy.
A little
Ray.
difficult for him.
Ray, I had to make it easy.
Insulting his
go.
intelligence.
All right, good job, Nash. All right, so Nash makes an interesting point about taking the best player available on defense. And one of those positions on defense that I think they need to address is safety. If you can't get a safety in the draft, would you consider adding Justin Simmons? Because Justin Simmons, who played for Atlanta last year, he played for the Broncos before that, went on the Up and Adams show yesterday, and he was specifically asked about the Philadelphia Eagles. And listen to Justin Simmons.
The Eagles, though, I mean, how much does the connection with Fangio and Christian Parker, by the way, the DB's coach, how much does that help and tilt the scale a little bit? Be honest.
Yeah, it really does. Like, as honest as I can be, like a lot of it too, going back to your question earlier about Atlanta, like there was a lot of new, right? There's a new system. There's a new way to do it. Like going to Philly with Vic, you know exactly what you're getting out of me, and I know exactly what I'm getting out of them because I've been in the system. I still have a ways to go to mastering it, but there's some things and nuances that I know that Vic likes, that I know that Christian Parker likes, and I think I could really help in that area. Obviously, then moving on from CJ and what he's poured into that city there is big shoes to fill, but I love what they have going on with Blankenship and the rest of the supporting cast there. So I don't know. It's interesting. I'm excited to see what happens.
So that was Justin Simmons on with Up and Adams yesterday. I would absolutely sign Justin Simmons. I wanted him last year, and then they ended up getting, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, obviously, and that worked out. But since they moved on from Chauncey, I'm going to say if they don't get a safety in the first 2 rounds of the NFL draft, I think you'll see them sign Justin Simmons the next day. It's almost identical to what they did with Mekhi Becton last year. They didn't get an offensive lineman early, and then the next day they went and they signed Mekhi Becton. I think you may see the same thing. I know he's 31 years old, Ray, but I don't think you can go into this season, as much as I like Reed Blankenship, Sidney Brown, Tristan McCullum, who is the answer at the other safety position? I think you got to bring in a veteran if you don't get a high draft pick at that position.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'll be honest. I think you should bring him in regardless of draft position, regardless of what you do in the draft.
So you'd sign him no matter what?
Yeah, I'd sign him right now. Where is he? Do we know? Do we know where he is right now?
On the couch.
I mean, I'll take the contract to him personally.
Will you drive him here? Will you go down and get him?
He is 31. It's getting up there. The Eagles made a trade for a 31-year-old safety 2 years ago. Didn't work out, and Kevin Byard.
Yeah, absolutely. It might not work out, but at this point, what's your better option?
And that was right before the season. If they're able to get Simmons in, he already knows the system. Hopefully the overchange won't be too much for him.
Actually, Byard was in the middle of the season.
Middle of the season.
Yeah, they traded Terrell Edmonds and a draft pick.
Right after Edmonds went to the Phillies game.
Yeah, after Edmonds got torched.
Right.
The Phillies fell apart after that.
The interesting thing is you heard Justin Simmons talking about his familiarity with Vic Fangio and Christian Parker. So he played under Vic Fangio for 3 seasons, 2019, 2020, and 2021. He was an AP second team twice for an All-Pro, and he was a Pro Bowler once during those 3 years. And you know what else is nice about Justin Simmons? He's never been to the postseason. So I think he would probably give you a team-friendly deal because he wants to play. The guy's as good of a career as he's had. He's never been in the playoffs. Never. So we're going to continue that, too. I want to hear from people on the NFL draft. Would you draft for need? Would you go best player available? And along the same lines, would you bring in Justin Simmons, who clearly would like to play in Philadelphia with Vic Fangio again? You can get in on that conversation, 610-632-0975. But I also want to pick your brain, Ray, on something I read about my hometown. This is really interesting. About living next to a high school baseball field and something that the homeowners are trying to do to stop the baseball season. We'll get into that, too, coming up next.
Fanatic Sports Sports Update.
I'm Austin Jones, and this is your Fanatic Sports Update. This update is brought to you by Sequoia Outback. Stop in for their annual spring and Sequoia sale going on now, Route 309 in Hatfield or at decksupplies.com. Experience the ultimate indoor outliving at Sequoia Outback. Now, we are just 15 days away from the NFL draft, and Adam Schefter from ESPN joined Kincade and Salciunas earlier today and said he expects the Eagles to do some moving around, so give a listen.
They've got 20 picks, that they are the team that's most likely to be moving around and making things happen on draft weekend. That's what I said. And there are needs. You know, I think people forget that sometimes they lost a lot of key players on the defensive side of the football. A lot.
So where will they go? Defensive end, outside linebacker, who knows, D-tackle? I don't know. The Phillies dropped game one versus the Atlanta Braves 7-5 last night. Taijuan Walker's on the mound today. The Phillies' first pitch is for 7:15, and you can watch the game on NBC Sports Philadelphia. The Sixers are in Washington to face the Wizards. Tip-off is set for 7 p.m., and you can listen to that game where? On 97.5 The Fanatic. And the Flyers are at the Garden tonight to face the Rangers. Puck drop is set for 7:30. You can listen to the game on our sister station, 93.3 WMMR. This update's also brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. That feeling of owning your first Mercedes-Benz is hard to believe, but it's real. From the leather stitching to the iconic design, every element of a Mercedes lives up to its reputation. See for yourself at your local dealer. I'm Austin Jones on the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Hey everybody, it's Bill Colarulo. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel so you can engage during the show, and you're not going to want to miss all the content that we post. It's not only the live videos, it's videos after the fact. It's our shorts. It's all the content you want as a Philadelphia sports fan. Looking forward to connecting.